So, I have been watching a bunch of Greta Gerwig movies because I wanted to get a better sense of just her career, especially moving forward. So, I watched a movie called Frances Ha. This is a movie that I found at the library. Shout out Garland County Library. And it's a it's a Criterion Collection movie, so I was expecting it to be hoity-toity. It's in black and white, and it is a little hoity-toity, and it's in black and white. And it's written and directed by uh, Noah Baumbach and co-written by Greta Gerwig, but I think she had more involved in the writing for this one, I think. Uh, and, in case you didn't know, those are the two highest grossing movie writers of this year with Barbie. And also, as I'm looking at the poster for Frances Hall right now, it's a movie that's in black and white. The poster is pink like Barbie. I wonder if that's uh, Kismet. Anyway, the movie follows a 27-year-old dancer who lives in New York with her best friend, and then life happens to her. Then the end. Basically, what the movie is basically follows Frances as she has to break up, kind of have to have a best friend breakup with her best friend, who her friend gets a new job and she has to move uptown or to a different place or whatever, and so they have to split, and Frances just sort of starts kind of flailing while she doesn't talk to her friend so much anymore. Finds out her friend has a boyfriend, and then slowly that boyfriend becomes a fiance. She still doesn't see her all that often, but anytime they do hang out, I mean they're trying to be friends, and they're like, man, we're still good friends. But then it's like they don't talk to each other, and you just sort of see it weigh down on Frances. Uh, Frances played by Greta Gerwig. That's another thing. In my little Greta Gerwig rewatches here, this is the only one I've watched where she was an actor in the movie. The first movie I seen Greta Gerwig act in ever was in Baghead, way back in the day. Let me see. Baghead. Let me see if I can find it. Yes, and that was in 2008. Well, I'm sure I did not watch it in 2008, but I watched Baghead, and she was in that, and that's a Duplass joint right there. I thought she was pretty cool. And after that, I heard about she was involved in a How I Met Your Father TV show. So what was crazy about this is I recognized her name from Baghead, and I remember when How I Met Your Mother was ending, they were trying to get a How I Met Your Father spin-off show with Greta Gerwig off the ground. And every day I wake is another day I am more confused why that didn't happen. Because that just sounds great. I think people like the How I Met Your Father now, but I could just already imagine Greg Gerwig's How I Met Your Father, because I imagine it being way weirder. Regardless, Frances Ha. So I get to see her act in Frances Ha. And this might be, I don't know if this is Adam Driver's first movie, but it's definitely really early Adam Driver. He's super scrawny. He doesn't have his long flowy hair that all the ladies love these days. I think it kind of has almost like a buzz cut. Let me look here. What is his first movie? So it was in 2012 was Frances Ha, but it was not his first movie. His first movie was J. Edgar, which nobody saw that. And then there's another movie called Gaby. Probably Gay Baby? I don't know. And then there's Not Waving But Drowning, Adam Driver. But Frances Ha. I like him in the movie. He's pretty good. I kind of like what the movie's portraying. As a 27-year-old myself. The feelings of like, oh my god, everybody my age I know are getting married, getting real jobs, and just doing new things with their lives and all this stuff. And if you're not doing anything like that, you might be like, fudge, I'm thinking broke. I got no prospects. I'm not doing anything interesting. Everybody else is doing stuff that's interesting. But you slowly see in the movie, she does, it just happens one day. I don't even know if she has like some big, I don't know what you call it, revelation. I don't even think that happens in the movie. Like, I think, I mean, she does make some rash decisions. She hangs out with rich people. She rooms with rich people. She tries to pay the rent. But even when she's just trying to pay couch rent, it's too much because she's trying to live in New York. And she is going to, she, like, on a whim, her friends are like, let's go to Paris for, like, a weekend. And she does it to end up actually just doing nothing. And just being like, dang it, I'm just doing nothing in France, and that was a waste of time and money. But slowly, she just sort of goes deeper into her own interests. She finds ways of doing those things more officially, and she just starts becoming basically just more of an adult. And it's interesting. It's just and so her name is, the reason the movie's called Frances Ha. This is the big spoiler. At the end, she tries to fit her little name paper, like, she got a new apartment. She gets her new mailbox. She's trying to put a slip of paper with her name, Frances Harris, or Frances Halliday, actually. But when she puts it in there, it cuts it off, and she just rips it off and it says just Frances Ha on there, which is cool. I kind of like that when you can't necessarily tell what the movie's title, like, what does the title mean, Frances Ha? And you know her name's Frances, but you're like, why is it Frances Ha? And then at the end, oh, I get it now, Frances Ha. I like that aspect of it. Also, in watching this movie, it has a lot of similarities-ish to Lady Bird. Ooh, I wonder why. That's why I think Greta Gerwig did the majority of the writing on this, because, like, obviously it's her as, like, she's carrying the movie. The movie's on her shoulders. Also, she's in New York. She kind of still likes the romanticism of the New York city-ness of it. And then she goes home to Sacramento, and, you know, she just has fun being with her friends in Sacramento and her family. And I'm actually going to transition that into a discussion on the movie Lady Bird, because I think that's a good jumping off point. So Lady Bird, I almost see as a prequel to Frances Ha, because it's so clearly Greta Gerwig writing for a character that is just herself. It's about a teenage girl in Sacramento, California. She has issues with her mother. She just yearns to go to New York because it's a city with culture. Because I guess she thinks Sacramento is just super boring and milquetoast, and probably is a little bit. I don't know. Oh, boo-hoo, you got middle-class parents. Ah, jeez. And then basically shenanigans ensues. She goes to like a Christian school, which I think that bleeds through. Like she's very Greta Gerwig is a Christian lady, kind of religious. I think some of that is dealt with in Frances Ha a little bit, maybe not so much, but it definitely is in Lady Bird, because when like she goes to like a what do you call it? A reform school or something? I don't know, where they wear uniforms and do all the praying and stuff. And the whole time I guess I think she didn't like it, but I don't know. When she goes to New York, she still goes to church, which is interesting, I guess. And she does like the plays and stuff, and she gets a boyfriend who turns out to be gay. And I guess it's even more messed up because they go to this super religious school, so he's having like a complex about it and all this. It's all the stinking general teenage high school stuff. But what I like about it the most in Lady Bird is how Greta Gerwig writes these conversations with her mother, because you could tell those are real. How they bob and weave from super argumentative, sometimes deep cut mean fighting to, ooh, this dress is pretty. What do you think about wearing this to prom? Oh, okay, yeah, I think so too. I love like the complications of that and just how they portray that. Uh, there's a fun scene where Lady Bird finds out her father has a fun scene. She finds out her father has depression, and I just it's just I don't know what Greta Gerwig does a really good job of. What I think she did a good job of in Frances Hall portraying. I think she does a better job directing. Are all these weird little small moments of character that you do not like. There is no attention brought to them at all, but you just see it, and it just tells you so much about like you'll see like certain characters be playful with each other, or uh just a character when they're in a room by themselves and they're doing some weird thing. uh I really love when they do when she does stuff like that. She specifically makes sure to show great physical acting moments in all of her movies, and I really do appreciate that. Also, I think Lady Bird might be the introduction to Timothy Chalamet. Let me see. Timothy Chalamet definitely was in Lady Bird. Was it his first? Probably not. Film? No, it was not his first film, but probably the one that got him up. Oh, Calling by Your Name. Oh, so I see. Yeah, Hot Year in 2017. And that really got him up in there. Oh, yeah, he was in Interstellar. He was a kid. So he's been around a little bit, but I think 2017 was really when he started skyrocketing a bit. And also, Timothy Chalamet, it's funny that he's not in Barbie because he's in both Lady Bird and Little Women. And you would have thought that Timothy Chalamet would have been a Ken somewhere. I'm surprised he's not a Ken somewhere. Maybe he's too busy being a Wonka. But yeah. Speaking of that, though, and I'm not trying to just do a straight up transition to Little Women, but when I saw Wonka, I remember thinking, man, Timothy Chalamet, he's not so fun. He's not that playful. Like, I was thinking this. Like, he's not so whimsical. And I still hold that. In Wonka, he's not as whimsical or playful as a way that comes off natural to me. It seems like an act. It seems like a broody guy just pretending to be fun. But in a weird way, Little Women showed me why. It showed me why a studio would hire Timothy Chalamet to be Wonka. There's a scene in the movie, and he's even literally wearing purple suspenders. But when now, I guess now this is a Little Women review in a way. But when Timothy Chalamet is hanging out with Joe Marsh in Little Women, whoever played by Saoirse Ronan also, and they're having fun, they're like dancing on this little porch thing outside of an official dance, like an official ball or something, and they're just being goofy and having fun, and he's just making dumb jokes and all this, and I'm like, the performance Timothy Chalamet does in Little Women is closer to what I would have in my head as a Wonka than he did in Wonka. And I don't know what, like, why? What is that? Why? What are you losing, and why could you not just do the same? Well, I understand if he didn't want to necessarily do the same thing, but something about what he does in Wonka feels a little too forced, but what he does in Lady Bird feels really natural. And it actually made me, like, I think that Little Women is the first time I didn't immediately hate Timothy Chalamet when I saw his face. Which I don't hate him as a person, but he's one of those actors where it's like, you see his face for the first time and you just kind of want to hate him immediately. I almost feel the same with Ryan Reynolds these days, but I think he did that to himself. But in Little Women, I felt endeared to Timothy Chalamet. I thought he was fun. I thought I could see why the ladies in Little Women liked him so much. I kind of wish we saw that in Wonka a little more. But yeah, Little Women, I think, I don't know, it's either the biggest departure or still on the road of what Greta Gerwig did in Frances Hall and in Lady Bird. Because if you think about it, so what do you get? You got Lady Bird, girl from Sacramento, California, wants to go to New York to be, I guess, an actress is what she wants to be. And I don't know if that works out. But then you open it up on Frances Ha. You follow a woman who is 27 years old. She's in New York. She's doing dancing and maybe not acting. So, like, maybe... I don't know why I'm trying to psychoanalyze. It doesn't matter. But I'm saying, like, you're following still the aging. So, labored teenager, Frances Ha, younger, or, approach young woman, 20s woman. And then Little Women jumps back and forth. I don't know to what times exactly. I don't know what separates them, like the two parts. Like, I don't know how many years separates the first part versus the second part. But I do think you're okay. 68 and 61. So I think they're 6 years apart. I still do think you get sort of a similar vibe here where you're following Joe Marsh and you're seeing these two different timelines of like her wanting to be something and then her working on getting it done, I guess, in a way. And you see them as young as the Little Women. And her whole thing is she doesn't want to be married and blah, blah, blah. And she wants to be a writer. She wants to, write a novel or whatever. And all the stuff that I'm sure is, common in all the Little Women's or whatever. And then you sort of see her as a writer. I'm just thinking, if I'm following this, I'm maybe following this as, now we're looking at Greta Gerwig as a writer and her sort of trying to express what that means to a woman writer, especially. There's so much in Little Women, even though I don't necessarily think it's explicitly Greta Gerwig's experience, I think she's definitely finding the universality in some of these themes and really expounding upon them. There's a great part where, Joe has this whole thing about how she doesn't want to marry. It's very much of a, individualism. She just wants to be her own woman, and she don't want to have to marry or change her name or anything like that. And then you kind of look at her sister, played by Florence Pugh, Joe, who does get married, but also doesn't want to get married for the wrong reasons. And I like those dynamics and how those play with, because honestly, if you look at Little Women, you kind of see the nexus point for Greta Gerwig as, and I don't know if every woman writer, director, or whatever should be forced to speak for all women, but also I think that just happens to a lot of women, and that happens to, also happens to lots of people of color when they hit a certain peak in their status. They may feel a sense of responsibility to represent, basically. And I think Little Women does a good job of doing that. I think you needed Frances Ha and Lady Bird to really, because Frances Ha, I think, really delves into the nitty gritty of not just what people do in their 20s, but I think what some women might be doing in their 20s, and maybe not all of it is all that glamorous. And I think Lady Bird also does a lot of interesting things about how women express, how they expressing some of the things we normally see in everyday coming of age movies, but really sort of expounding on some of the aspects we don't see, like I was talking about with the mother-daughter discussions in Lady Bird. I feel like that something like that is a little more universal, and something that I, as a man, boy, son, probably wouldn't get necessarily. I mean, I get a little bit of it, but I think it's deeper there for Lady Bird in that movie. And for Little Women, as a movie that, the title says it there, it's Little Women. I think this has been a story that women have sort of rallied behind forever. Or I say forever, but literally kind of forever. It's over 100 years old, this book. So, I think. There should be, I guess. So, yeah. when I think of that, uh, I don't like. I think Greta Gerwig is a good choice for Little Women. I don't know if she was necessarily the perfect choice for Little Women, but what made her the perfect choice, and I'm saying just based off of what she had done before Little Women. I don't know if I should say, all right, you should definitely, the next thing you should definitely do Little Women. But you can see where she did, like, you're still seeing what she brought in those other two movies being brought to this one. You get to see, and when I said about the physical acting, she found ways to maybe take things that sort of might feel a little too old-timey, but because of the actors she's employed to do some of these things, she's kind of, like, there are scenes in Little Women that I'm like, oh, this could be a scene from Lady Bird. Like, you could put like, if you took away all the old clothes and and you put up some TVs or something, I don't know, or play some radio, this is just a scene from Lady Bird, but with, women in a certain time. And I think when you look at a bunch of movies that take place, especially in the 1800s or whatever, I think I watched like an interview with Greta Gerwig, and she talked about, I didn't want any corsets or hula hoop dresses or whatever. There aren't any, and it still looks old timey, but the girls are acting in ways that feel modern, because why wouldn't they? They would just feel modern back then, in a way, I guess. Or I don't know. I like how it's been updated for the modern times, this Little Women movie. Also, I love the cast in Little Women. It really is stacked. You got Saoirse Ronan, Emma Watson, Florence Pugh, Laura Dern, Meryl Streep. And some I don't want to spoil. Like, there was one cameo. It's not really a cameo. He is a real character, and it's a him. I already spoiled it. It's a guy. Anytime you mention there's a male, it's like, wait, what? A man in Little Women? There are some, but they don't do it as much. But they really do a good job about hiding who their father is. And then by the time, like, it's at the perfect time in the movie when you're like, oh my God, it's Dad! Oh wow! It's a real joy. But yeah, I think it does a good job of really tapping into aspects of, I guess, womanhood that have existed forever in a way, and also getting to juxtapose some of the things that maybe you couldn't infuse without modern knowledge. Like, some of the things that are portrayed in Little Women that might seem, I don't know, unorthodox at a certain time, because there's so many adaptations every 10 to 20 years. Things have changed. You can still infuse some modernality into it without having to, change the timing. Although I do think they did have a modern day adaptation of this, 10 or 20 years ago, I think. So that's interesting. I do want to check that out one day. Because, how would you make this a modern film? I mean, you can, but why? Why would you? I think it would just be causing more headaches than solving them if you did. And I'm not going to get back into Barbie, even though I did basically go through the entire list. But I think Barbie just shows not just why Greta Gerwig was a good choice for doing Barbie, but it does show an evolution. I think Barbie is just another stepping stone to what Greta Gerwig is doing. And that's the thing. The Oscars happened recently, or the Oscar nominations did, and Greta Gerwig was not nominated for Barbie, and I was not that upset because, and everybody's like, "Oh, what do you mean? Come on, it's a stacked year." But also, she did direct the highest-grossing movie of the year. But also, as I had said a couple years ago with Avengers Endgame, highest-grossing movie of anything, of any year, doesn't effing matter, because that's not going to guarantee you a Best Picture nomination. And Barbie at least did get a Best Picture nomination. I do think it is a little weird to give Ryan Gosling a Best Supporting Actor nomination, but not really, because one, everybody talked about Gosling when they left the movie, and two, you got America Ferrera getting Best Supporting Actress, which I think that's a weird one, because even though I do think she might be an Oscar-worthy actress, I don't think that's necessarily an Oscar-worthy performance. But I also think they're trying to bleed Barbie in places they could get, and I think it's a good one. I mean, nothing against it. Like, give it to her. Give her the nomination, at the very least. But, I don't know. People were getting upset that it wasn't nominated. My thing is, or that Greta Gerwig was nominated and Margot Robbie weren't nominated for Barbie. My thing is, Margot Robbie is going to win an Oscar. She's going to win an Oscar because, one, she's that good, and two, I feel like she's in the Oscar conversation like every other year. It's like she's due. She's due for one. And Greta Gerwig, I also think she's due for one. I don't think Barbie's necessarily her best movie. I don't even know if now I do think if I don't know if I think Barbie's her best movie, but I don't know if I don't think it is either. Like, I think she probably did more work in Little Women. No, she probably did a lot more work in Barbie. I think I appreciate what she did with Barbie more than I appreciate what she did in her other movies. I don't know if I like Barbie from front to back as much as I like her other movies from front to back. That being said, I like big swings, and for that, I think Barbie is like the biggest swing. She got a bag full of money. She spent that bag full of money, I think, in good ways. So I think good for her. But I also think she has better in her. So that's why I'm not messed up about Barbie, because I think she can make an Oscar-worthy movie, and she can win. I think she can win. Now, if you want to get into semantics here, a few years ago when Scorsese was nominated for The Irishman, also Todd Phillips was nominated for Joker. Here's the thing. Either take Todd Phillips off there and put Lady Bird, or put Greta Gerwig in for Little Women in 2020, or don't nominate The Irishman, because people did not a single person said The Irishman was like Scorsese's best movie. Some people said Killers of the Flower Moon is his best movie, or his best movie these days. All right, well, if that's true, then you can't say that next year when he makes another movie, because he's not going to stop. I think he comes out with a movie a year. Are we just going to give Scorsese a nomination every year? I don't know. Okay. So, yeah. There's that. So, yeah. My overall on Greta Gerwig. How I really feel about Greta Gerwig is, she's a great director. Great writer. I want to see more what she's going to do. I can't wait for however she's going to attack the Chronicles of Narnia. I hope she's in it to win it. I think she is. What else is there? What else is there to say? I think there's a fun theme. I don't know. Yeah, that's it. That's all I gotta say about that. That's all I gotta say about Greta Gerwig. Good job. Great job. Her middle name's Celeste, I guess. Kind of messes up the G thing. GCG instead of GGG. It would have been cool if she was triple G. I don't know what I'm saying. Oh boy.